Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Bible Study Minute. Today we're taking a look at Hebrews chapters 3 and 4. And in these chapters, we see some talk about the Old Testament, which is not going to be any different from what we see in the rest of Hebrews. But this time we see the author talking about the difference between Jesus Christ and Moses. And he talks about the faithfulness of these two. And he begins by talking about how Moses was a faithful servant, but Jesus was a faithful son. And then he uses those two examples to then talk about the unfaithfulness of Israel and how they hardened their heart in the wilderness. And to do this, he quotes from the Psalms in a psalm that David wrote. And he shows that even though Israel experienced all the greatness of God in Egypt, how he did the plagues in Egypt, how he split the waters of the Red Sea and allowed them to cross on dry land, and even provided for them while they were in the wilderness, they still hardened their hearts and walked in unbelief and caused all of them to perish in the wilderness, and only their children were able to enter into the promised land. And even with that, we see that the rest that they had with Joshua was not the rest that David is talking about. So what we see David talking about is today you need to enter the rest and choose not to harden your heart. In other words, it's a daily call to walk in faithfulness and obedience, because at any moment we can choose to harden our hearts and turn away and walk in our sin in the ways that we used to walk. And so the author of Hebrews is telling us that we need to daily encourage one another while it's still called today, which is always going to be today. So this is something that we need to always do. We need to constantly encourage one another to walk in faithfulness and to do the things that the Lord has called us to do so that we don't harden our hearts. And that's really the call for us today. And the main takeaway is to really encourage one another, because this is the life of discipleship and what it looks like to live as a believer, encouraging each other to walk in faithfulness and making sure that we're doing the same each and every day when we wake up, that we're choosing not to harden our hearts, but we're choosing to today walk in obedience and faith toward Christ. And that is how we enter his rest every single day. So that's the thought that I want to leave you with today as you take a look at Hebrews chapters 3 and chapters 4. And until next time, grace and peace.